Hey guys, Bear here from Pickleball Kitchen. Today we're talking about 3 super simple serving tips that will help you to gain more power on your serve. These things are super simple and you can start implementing them today if you'd like to. But before we begin, welcome to all my new PK Academy members. November was an absolute insane month. It's been great hearing about how you guys have been enjoying the content and all the success stories and so on. If you're ready to take your game to the next level, you really need to check out my premium video service. Pickleballkitchen.com/membership. Link is down here below. You really need to go check it out. Now, let me change the angle and we'll get started. One of the cool things about teaching the serve to people is that the serve is one of the most simple shots in the game. And the reason is because you're not reacting to a shot. Half of what a pickleball shot is reacting to what your opponent is giving you. But with the serve, you're just standing here with the ball. So again, these tips are super simple and you can start to implement them today if you want to. The first thing that we want to talk about here is the swing. And a big mistake that people make with the swing when it comes to the serve or with just a ground stroke in general is that they don't take back the paddle all the way, or they don't take it back enough, and they don't follow through at all. So what we want to work on is giving yourself a nice backswing and a nice follow through. So we're going to use a cool little visual here, and what you're going to do is when you're taking back your paddle, what you want to pretend like you're doing is you're hitting a fence that's right behind you. So here I am about to serve, okay, have the ball, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like I'm tapping a fence behind you. And what you can do is actually tap a fence behind you. Now you don't want to do this during a game, right? But just for practice, make sure that you're tapping the fence behind you like this. So it's going to look like that, right? And that just ensures that you're actually taking a backswing, because what a lot of people do is they won't take the paddle back very far. Well, if you don't take the paddle back very far, then there's not a lot of distance between the paddle and the ball, and it's hard to get acceleration. You just don't have a lot of time, right? So what you want to do is feel like you're going to tap a fence behind you. That's number one. With the follow through, what some people do is when they follow through, they'll kind of stop short a little bit. And I understand that feels comfortable. And for some people, it can keep them away from the yips because it just feels comfy to them. But if you want to get more power, you have to have that follow through. Remember when you were a kid and you used to put the seashell up to your ear and you could hear the ocean, right? I totally fell for that. Well, that's what you want to do with your paddle. So go ahead and put your paddle up to your ear. You hear that seashell type of feeling, right? So that's what you're going to do with your paddle. So when you come back, tap that fence, and then when you follow through, put that paddle up to your ear. Now, you're not going to actually do this during a game. You're not going to be sitting here like this. You're going to bonk yourself eventually. But that's what it generally should feel like. So all together, tap the fence, and then when I follow through, come all the way up here. Where you are up here doesn't matter. This is just a visual, okay? So just get used to this. And you can do this at home. I mean, when I was training myself to do this kind of stuff, I would like cook pasta and just sit there in my kitchen and do this. I still do it sometimes. And just do this all day long. And get used to this. Tap the fence behind you and really follow through and make sure you're coming all the way through and all the way up here. Okay? Tap the fence, come all the way through. And then what you can do is introduce a ball. What you're looking to do here is introduce a full swing to the ball, not necessarily hitting the ball hard. It doesn't have anything to do with hitting the ball hard. We're just giving ourselves a full swing. So instead of an abbreviated swing, we're going to give ourselves a full swing. And I want you to notice I didn't swing the ball very hard, but yet it got plenty of power, and that serve in particular was quite deep. So again, tap the fence behind you and listen to your paddle. Tap, listen. Nice. Now the second thing we want to work on here is weight transfer. We want to make sure that as we're lining up for the serve, we want to get the weight from the back all the way to the front so that our weight transfers through the ball. We're going to do this very simply, okay? What we want to do is we want to take the weight that's on our back dominant foot and then put it onto our non-dominant foot. That is it. Let me give you a better angle here. What a lot of people will do when they serve is they stand sort of like this, but they don't transfer their weight through. Now, Some people do that with success, but you know, if you're around 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, around there, this is really going to help give you a lot more power, and I highly recommend doing it this way. So what people will do, they'll stand like this, and then they'll serve without moving anything. And boy, that is really hard to do. Although I got that serve deep, it had no force on it, it had no power on it, and everything is very static and very still, and it's hard to get a lot of power on the ball. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to use our feet to help transfer the weight through the ball. All right, let's make this simple, shall we? From a right-hander's perspective, obviously my dominant foot is my right foot. And what you want to do is put the dominant foot behind your non-dominant foot like this. So my non-dominant foot is facing forward. Try to face it towards your opponent in some way, but you see how I'm set up like this, okay? And then what you do when you serve is you want to take a step with your non-dominant foot. When you take a step, when you lift up on this non-dominant foot, your weight naturally goes back here on your dominant foot. And then when you do take a step and you come forward, now the weight is coming off the non-dominant foot, and thus it helps you get power through the shot and then come up off of this foot. So it's simply a step. You just take a step. That's it. And you can do it comically like that, where you take a big step like this. It kind of looks like you're in a cartoon or something. That's how you want to do it. So just take a step and follow through. Completely follow through with that step. That right there will give you an enormous amount of power. If you start hitting shots out, you know it's working, because you probably will hit a few shots out. And so now, combining these two things together, we can achieve a powerful serve that's effortless, and that is valuable. Awesome. So now we've got the full swing and we've got the weight transfer absolutely effortless. Now, admittedly, the last tip here is a little bit more advanced, but I know you're up for it, and that is the whip. So when we're coming through the ball, one thing that can really help is to get some whip action, get that whippy kind of stuff. Now, in order to illustrate this for you, the audience, but also for yourself, lock your elbow and try to serve. So lock the elbow, now serve. That is so awkward. I can't get any power on that serve because I'm using my whole shoulder here. And although that's great for beginners and people who are just getting started, if you want more power, you need to learn how to whip the paddle through the ball. When you're taking the ball back and then you're stepping through the ball, what you want to feel like you're doing is you're pushing the end cap here of the paddle towards your opponent, and then you're lagging that wrist behind, and it's almost like you're balancing a glass of water on your paddle. Okay, so you come back, as you're coming through, you're keeping that held as much as you can, and then you whip at the very last moment, brush up and end up here. So it's not necessarily a wristy motion like this. We're still brushing up on the ball like this in a topspin motion, but we're giving it a little bit of whip at impact. Like that. Like that. So what will happen when you first start doing this is you'll serve really short, because what this does is it gives the ball a lot of topspin. So you do have to be careful about that. It just takes practice, but feel like you are pushing that end cap towards your opponent, or the open part of your wrist here towards your opponent, and then whip at the very last second. So I'm going to slow this down for you, but watch really carefully what my wrist looks like when it's coming through. I know that was fast, but I'm going to slow it down for you. So guys, that's it. Those are some 3 just simple serving tips that you can do to really enhance your power on your serves. You know, people are serving harder these days, and it can give you a great advantage because, you know, the more difficult your serve is, the harder it is for them to return, and thus the easier your third is going to be. Now, in PK Academy, I go over this serve in extreme detail. So again, make sure you go check that out, pickleballkitchen.com/membership. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Really, really appreciate you. And as usual, I'll see you next time.